It's time again to register for the Photo Imaging Connect conference at the Rio Hotel, March 1st and 2nd, 2026. Go to www.photoimagingconnect.com for more information on the program and take advantage of the early bird pricing.
Welcome to the Dead Pixel Society podcast, the photo imaging industry's leading news source. Here's your host, Gary Peugeot. The Dead Pixel Society podcast is brought to you by Media Clip, Advertech Printing, and Independent Photo Imagers.
Hello again and welcome to the Dead Pixel Society podcast. I'm your host, Gary Peugeot, and today we're joined by two executives from Airstudio, Scott Rodgers, who is a partner in their business, and Peter Koop, who's coming to us from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. And he's like an industry expert, which we'll get into because everyone knows Peter. But Scott, what is your background in the industry?
I've run an operation in Chicago that was started in the 40s. It's been a family business. We got into schools about 25 years ago.
Okay.
That operation does about 150 schools. We had an old legacy platform that was written on VFP of all things, which is dead now 15 years, that we wanted to replace, and that's where Airstudio came from. It essentially runs everything in the operation other than your e-commerce side. It also integrates in with e-commerce sites, top to bottom, from staffing to payroll to school portal to
whole match.
So let's get into that real quick. So, a lot of businesses have their kind of homegrown solution for this stuff. A lot of the school businesses, and they kind of try and plug into, the e-commerce platform or the shooting platform. What exactly does Airstudio do? Where does it fit into that? If you were going to give me the top 3 to 5 functions that people are going to look to Airstudio for, what is that?
Oh, for sure.
It starts with the first client contact, from if you're doing seniors, from scheduling the senior sessions to all the communication with that student and their family. It also handles the scheduling of your photographers. It handles the scheduling of the sessions themselves, payroll for the photographers, all the communication back and forth, emailing your photographers, text message reminders, phone app for all your staff. I'm sure I'm missing a bunch of stuff here.
Yeah, along with various notifications attached to it. There's also a small e-commerce side of it where for your booking your seniors, for example, if there's costs that you assign to it, those can be done through the booking process. The trick with it and the differentiator between any of the other systems that you were referring to, Gary, is the interconnectedness of it. Everything is connected. So as a subject comes to book or as you book a school, everything is in one place, from the type of job to the contacts at the school to the subjects you're photographing, all the way down to the files you might want to share with the schools. Where we found this interesting little niche is that most of the school photographers out there are, as you said, using some kind of homegrown version, or more often than not, they're trying to take something that might have been designed for a hairdressing salon or a plumber,
right, and
massaging it into something that'll work for school photography.
Sure.
Where in our scenario, with Scott's background and the origin story, if you will, of Airstudio, it started as coming up with a solution because nothing existed.
Right.
And so it's really the only one out there that's written by school photographers for school photographers.
Getting to like a tagline or a thing. I mean, it's a CRM for both the schools, but it also manages your photographer fleet and all the other piece of it too. Will it help you bid on jobs? Is there a bidding component to it where you can assess the costs of, hey, I got a photographer in this region and equipment and all the other stuff?
Oh yeah, it's an actual bid form could be put into there, but the beauty of it, because our reporting structure is so fluid, the idea, and this is part of our objectives with integrating the e-commerce side, is to be able to have one single source of truth that allows you to say, okay, job A, I'm shooting ABC school, and here is actually what that job cost and what that job
Right.
earned.
Right. It also has a whole workflow management system so that you
100%.
can assign all of the tasks related to, say, an underclass picture day. It just depends on how elaborately you want to get involved, but you can time track the people on the individual tasks. You can attach costs to those tasks. I mean, obviously, the more you can cost it is the data it has.
Right.
There's also a whole AI-based data analysis tool. I can't remember the acronym for it, but we've built in a tool that has been taught what all of our databases mean. So you can just type in real language, how much did I make from XYZ school? And because it's got all of the payroll information, it's got all the workflow tools. If we're integrated with, say we're integrated with GotPhoto, it could get all the order information out of that and say, well, your margin is really good on that one. Or maybe not so good, and you should rethink about that signing this year.
Exactly.
So let's talk about that integration, because you just dropped the name of a portal, right? I know what you call it, a front end, whatever they call it,
E-commerce.
but you're not limited to just GotPhoto. You've got other platforms you work with. Tell us a little bit about that, because sometimes people have more than one platform. Maybe they work with one for grads, another one's for seniors, another one's for schools, and your system talks to them all.
Our system can talk to them all. Our system has open API, so our system is very friendly with all. We've got integrations built in for others. We had one with Photo Merchant before they were acquired a while back. We are finishing one with GotPhoto, and we're in discussions with other companies along the way. And even ones like we all know Captura, which is one of the bigger ones. We have a very functional system for trading data back and forth with them. Not as automated because the APIs are still being developed.
Sure.
But what I guess I'm getting at is our system plays very well with others. And whichever others you want and whichever way you want to bring in the data, we can work with you to make sure that it's giving you the full value.
We built one for there's a the Captura one is most built out. We also have a way to integrate with Timestone because we have Timestone customers. Timestone, there's no way to build into their APIs, so that one is more of a manual process, as is Captura's, honestly. So
Yep.
it just depends on what they open up to allow us to in. It's amazing though when it's completely integrated.
It really is. It really is.
Because it has access to everything. Like, your production people can use it to do their editing and all of their work, and your salespeople can use it to, go straight into galleries and change, everything. Change all of it. You can do it all when it's completely integrated.
One of the things that I want to kind of get into is sort of the help that a system like Airstudio can provide in terms of making business decisions, right? Because I find that a lot of people, maybe on the smaller side of the business who don't have a lot of history, like just want to bid on every job, right?
Yeah.
And because there's so much business out there, because especially in North America, because of the, collapse of one of the larger players, the business is out there, but it may not make financial sense to approach all those businesses. And that's one of the things Airstudio can help you with. Is that correct?
Oh, for sure. When the ability to analyze just what it costs you to go out there and take a picture is something that when you have an integrated linked system like ours, you can find that data and utilize that to move forward. And in fact, I think, Scott, the topic you're speaking about at SPAC this year is all about the ability to do analytics on the profitability of schools, how you decide which schools are worthwhile financially to work with, and how to maximize that.
Yeah, the studio we built this for, I actually work all my time is on Airstudio right now, but we're still connected to that studio because they actually do all the testing for Airstudio. That operation, when I was running it 10 years ago, we went through and actually did a P&L on every account, which is what we're trying to build into Airstudio. At that point, actually, in that operation, we let go of 40% of our customers. After doing that P&L, we're like, no.
It's
That's
scary,
not
isn't it?
working for us. And our life, the quality of life for everybody in that company went through the roof because all of a sudden, you're making money and you're doing work for people who actually appreciate what you're doing. Anyway, there's so many upsides to doing that kind of analysis.
So there's a bunch of metrics that different photographers use to measure things, right? I mean, there's obviously, bottom line, but there's also, I know people who track, dollars per head and, different metrics. Is that something that a user can plug in themselves? Can they determine their own metrics on this?
Yes, to the extent that we're integrated in pulling up those sales costs.
Yeah.
And again, it just depends on the data in. The formula that I've kind of built into it is more of a gross contribution model. So like this is how much we're generating, say $10,000 from this school, and it's costing me 4,000 in direct costs. So then I'm making 6 on the deal. I mean, kind of one of the benchmarks I've heard is around 40%. That should be your mark. So if it's costing you 60% to 70%, well, then that's one you should really think seriously about. And that seems like that model is what I've heard, and that's what we certainly used, and we're happy with the results.
Yep. And being able to have all that data or as much of that data as possible, just like Scott said, the more that we have access to, the more the fluid reporting system can output exactly those questions. And worst case scenario, you pull out those certain aspects and then do some of the analysis yourself as well.
I mean, one of the other though pieces that I think it makes it so useful for companies is having it all in one place. It just makes people much more efficient. So all of your photographer, everybody is communicating with everyone else through the same platform. And if your photographer needs to know who the janitor is to the school when they arrive, that's all in there because the sales there, everybody's got access to the same tool. All of that information can be included, say, in your email reminders to your photographer. They'll know the name of everybody they need to know and all that information.
For asking about costs, Gary, and analysis, the other side is some of the other, I guess, subtly outside costs is things like equipment, knowing A, how to organize that equipment, B, where all your equipment is, equipment assignment, and the flexibility of being able to either assign equipment to photographers for a season or a part of a season versus being able to assign it based on jobs. Some studios do it on really small, finite in and out check-ins, and Airstudio does all that or organizes all that for the studio. Again, giving back to the efficiencies of how they can work through things. And equipment management is almost always, I think outside of our system, I don't know of one that integrates that into it. Almost always an outside system. So now again, you've got another system to maintain, learn, access, whereas here it's all under one roof.
Yeah, and on the equipment side, it's kind of cool that you can specify what you need on a given job.
Sure.
And then as you assign photographers, it starts ticking it off. So at the end, when you've put 5 people on, it knows what's in their trunk. And it can say, well, you're missing, one background.
Yeah.
Oh, so it'll give like a shot list in terms of equipment, right? Where
Yeah.
And I assume it's keeping track of things being checked back in, right? Because then you find out people leave things on site of a shoot. Oh my gosh, he left this light stand in a gym somewhere, right?
Well, and even down to repairs. We, you live in a world where you've got mechanical devices that do have to be repaired and upkept. So even down to along the same lines as a file system we alluded to for the schools, where you can both receive data to enable us to shoot jobs for them, as well as share data like the admin outputs, the PSPAs for yearbooks, all that. That same file system exists within the equipment side of Airstudio. So, for example, you're not having to look for where's the warranty card. We can keep the warranty card in the file, virtually in the file system for the piece of equipment. Where's a picture of what the camera looked like when it was assigned to you? It didn't have these 2 big holes in it when we gave it to you. See?
This lens didn't have this giant scratch on the body when you
scratches.
Well, there's also reporting. One of our customers wanted a reporting on which photographer is grinding through the most equipment. I didn't even know who's breaking the most stuff. I'm like, I guess, you do want to know that.
Yeah, I guess you would. Yeah, that would be interesting. I can imagine there's all kinds of ways you can kind of go down a rat hole of data on this, right?
Yeah.
Oh, big time. It's fun. It's actually always interesting because, as you probably know, Gary, every studio seems to put their own flavor on their workflows.
Sure.
And so everything that we've built within it, it allows the flexibility of building out your task management, your schools, your type of photography, those idiosyncrasies into it. But it's always interesting coming into a demo where you get that facet of learning just how this particular operation does what they do.
Right.
And I always find it, like I said, very, very interesting to study and say, okay, well, yeah, is there advantages to that? Is there
Actually, one of the most fun things for me about it is how it's evolving over the years, because we're pretty agile. We have 6, 7 programmers working on it. As customers have different workflows, we can adapt it to what they're doing, and then it's available to everybody. I guess the biggest example to me is the senior booking. There are now 4 different ways to set up your seniors depending on how much data you have. And it all comes from different clients who have different problems.
Right.
Like some have all the data and we're like, that's great. You got emails, you got parents, you got everything. That's great. But then we've got other people who have absolutely no data. Well, how are you going to get that and capture it? And that's all built in. And so there's actually 4 different sequences now built in.
So in a situation where they are getting no data, what are they doing? Do you have like a capture barcode module on yours, or are they getting it from the e-commerce platform? Where's that data coming from?
This is on the senior booking side. It's a link you can share with the schools will share either a written, on a card you hand out, or the schools share in newsletters and emails, and that takes the client to the site to book their session.
Okay.
And then once they're in there, it gathers whatever you can get.
And you've got, like, I'm up in Canada, as you mentioned at the beginning, and in Canada, they're very stingy with handing out any of that data.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
You can't, you literally cannot get it. And so the beauty of this is where you get into the data going in the other direction, where often we're pulling stuff from the e-commerce to help make decisions, to help with customer service, to help with linkage of subjects. In here, you've got the other direction, where now we've got seniors that we have no information, but we need to market to them.
Right.
Now, here we go. Here, we'll give you a nice generic one. Now we're receiving this information from mom and dad and the student themselves.
Right.
That information can then get pushed back into Captura, GotPhoto, whatever you're using for marketing. Or if you want, just leave it in Airstudio and let us help you with the marketing as well, because we can build the marketing through the notification system.
Right.
But it's everything always feels like, and it always is, a bit of a jigsaw puzzle, and finding that, or building a yellow brick road from one objective to the other. You're either, you're filling in the spots to what works the best, and with a whole bunch of different workflows. So we've tried to build something that's super flexible.
So I'm just curious, from a student privacy standpoint, right? You've got different countries, in your case, you have Canada and the United States, who have different policies on where data is kept and how private they are and all that. Tell me a little bit about your policies to manage student privacy, because that's getting to be a bigger and bigger concern these days.
The SOC 2 process is that's the acronym for kind of the big blanket one.
Yeah.
It's a several year long process, and we are in the process right now. I mean, everything is compliant. We actually have worked with healthcare providers. One of our customers worked with a healthcare company, and we went through their whole process and we passed. It was painful, really painful.
Yeah.
That is one of the benefits too. The whole school side portal where they can upload their data and you can upload the student exports is all very secure. Cloud, it's a encrypted, secure way to do it. So.
Yeah, we got interrogated pretty heavy with a company in one of the Carolinas that works with us. And as you know, Carolina had pushed some of the highest level of security protocols in the United States.
Sure.
And they said, yeah, everything is good. They were totally happy with all of our security enactment. And again, like Scott said, we're in the SOC 2 fun and games.
The pipeline of what is that? The SOC
Vortex
2
might be a
pipeline,
good name.
right? Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it is an interesting process and it does make a lot of sense. You know, when you're in it, you're like, oh yeah, I see it.
Yeah.
I understand why you're doing that.
Well, it is one of those things where I think people who are out, maybe outside the industry who don't understand. I just saw a blog post the other day about somebody claiming that all these school photography companies are mining
Yeah.
school pictures for AI purposes and all this other stuff. It's like you don't even realize how the
Oh,
restrictions
yeah.
are and what you can even do with the data. So
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
it's
I mean, it is fun. Like everybody involved in the company has to have, they're all reporting in to the consultants all the time. The laptops themselves, the
yeah,
computers,
yeah.
making sure every keystroke is right.
Mhm. So does your equipment tracking include like on-site laptops and iPads and things like that to that degree? Because then again, that's a potential security breach. We've heard of people losing laptops, right, on shoots, and then that's got student data on it.
Yeah, it does track down to items. You know, it tracks how many rolls of tape you have, honestly.
Yeah.
You can track items from, you know, laptops to cameras to rolls of tape to batteries, all that inventory.
Well, and even going in the other direction, we've got one customer that's looking at utilizing it for tracking company vehicles, and we build a system within ours where we have items that are in virtual bags that are well, they're actual bags, but in the system they're virtual bags, and we can put a bag in a bag, and they're looking at using the a vehicle as a bag, and then putting the equipment that's assigned to that vehicle inside bag in bag in bag to make sure to keep track and assign the vehicle with the proper equipment to the proper person. And they're looking at using our system for that. And it's got all the capabilities. In fact, I've been kind of giddy playing with that and the different ways that that can be assigned and manipulated.
It does not have an AirTag attached to every laptop, though.
Yeah.
Give us some time.
So going into SPAC, what is the message you want to convey to people about Airstudio? Because you've kind of been around a while, but you've kind of been under the radar in a lot of
Yeah.
ways. What's the message you've got that you're going into 2026?
We want to let them know that we have a solution that a lot of them don't even know they're looking for yet. That we have the answer to how to tie everything that's going on in their studio together in one place, one application, and that we are it. And it was actually written for them. It's not something that they have to bend to their will.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I've heard it described as the holy grail of the industry is that one platform that's going to do it, tie all the pieces together.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's also been a very controlled, careful growth for us. We are committed to not growing too fast. So
Mm-hmm.
as we've been taking on customers, we are very conscious of what we can support and how we can make the transition easy for people because it does require some get-go at the beginning.
Sure. Because it's a garbage in, garbage out situation, right? If you don't set it up right, you're not going to get the data you want out
And
of
so that's really been our strategy all along. I think 2 years ago we were at SPAC just to kind of show people, not really looking for customers. Last year we wanted 10 to 20 and we hit that. And now this year we're ready to take more and we've gotten some big customers.
They should come see us early on because otherwise they might have to go on the waiting list for the next year.
Yeah, we're
Oh, so there's a limit to the number of people you want to take on.
There is.
there. Yeah, we don't want to overextend because then everybody suffers.
Yeah.
So I find it interesting how, and I'm sure it's true in other industries, but how people have tried like off-the-shelf solutions, like I'm going to use HubSpot or
Yep.
whatever for this, and it just never seems to work. What is it you think about the school volume industry that makes it necessary for these custom built solutions? Because it's not just this, it's for, AI retouching and a bunch of other things that are really built in-house within the industry as opposed to using off-the-shelf outside the industry solutions.
I think it's mostly just the interconnectedness, having it all in one place. You're not having to enter a spreadsheet. Oh, I was talking to one of our big customers and she enters it into her Google Calendar and then she enters it into her Excel sheet and then she enters it into Monday in order to get one thing done.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I agree. I think it's that interconnectedness. And I think part of the complexity is that this industry has two different levels of clients. You've got your customers, which are often viewed as your schools, but you have your consumers,
Right.
which are your parents that are buying the pictures. And in the midst of all that, you then have your subjects, which are the ones being photographed, throughout all this.
Right.
And the challenge is that each level has a different set of needs. The
Right.
school, in many cases, were viewed as a necessary evil that has to be done.
Right.
They want different things than mom and dad who aren't at the shoot,
Right.
but want, these beautiful pictures of little Johnny and little Jill. So it's serving that many different levels that there's enough complexity in what we're offering. Let's not build added complexity in how we manage and operate that.
Mm-hmm.
And let's try and simplify and join everything together, because we have to join it together in the way we approach the school, the parents, and the subjects.
Mm-hmm.
So we're trying to do that in a computer application as well for studio management.
Well, I think one little small example of that is that having the organization data, all the data related to a school can be customized. We're doing, spring portraits, fall portraits. We're doing ID cards, back printed, all of the different details.
Right.
That your salespeople can enter in on the CRM side. And then that all can get printed automatically on the e-sign contracts that you send out. Just pop it all in there. So it's just huge time saving for everybody because it's all tied together. Your salespeople know, and if your production people want to know what that ID card is all about, it's also in the same place that's being used for the salesperson and for the contract signing. And anyway, to me, it's sort of an example of it. It's just like it's available to everybody across every platform in one place.
I think it'll be interesting to see what happens, some of the pushback you may get from, let's say, salespeople or something who may not want everyone knowing what they're doing.
Well, you can cut it down. You can restrict access.
Well, I know, but I'm just in terms of that's sort of a lot of salespeople have sort of this provincial look, right? And
no, that's very true, and that is there are many different access levels.
Right.
That's very true, and things like revenue projections and all those kind of projected sales, and even like what you think of a contract, you got to be careful in the wording, but if you rate them, hot, cold, medium, or yes, no, what.
But if it's a CRM too, it's also tracking like, hey, Joe, did you call so-and-so studio? And they say, oh yeah, I did that. Well, it's not in the system. You didn't track the email, right? I mean, so that's sort of an accountability thing, which they've always had on the production side, right? Because you always have to produce the things that people order. And if you're not being produced, it's obvious that they're not being done. Sometimes on the sales side, they can kind of do some stuff.
Never happens. Never happens.
Sales
people are the most trustworthy.
I'm just interested. I think it'll be interesting to see what happens. I mean, clearly, we all love salespeople and the reps and all that kind of thing. I mean, I'm not knocking that, but I'm just saying is that it'll be interesting to see when that level of awareness is kind of taken out of that pile and joined with the other piles in certain ways. And like you said, they don't want to share everything, right? I'm not sure you want the frontline production person knowing what the commissions are that the salesperson's getting. I'm sure we don't want that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a progression that's been going on since the onset, I think, of any of the various sales tools.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, if you're a salesperson, like a retail, there's a lot of different permission levels. Yeah. So as you can have somebody access to everything, but then most people have restricted access based on what they need to know to do their job.
Yeah. So when you talk about bringing new customers on, what is the onboarding process? What's that like?
We have, because it handles everything from top to bottom, that can be a lot at once to chew off. And we have five different onboarding paths. Say you want to do senior scheduling, then we can set you up to do that. I mean, if you want to do it all, we have had places to just do everything at once. That depends on how much time you want to put into it. Right. But you can go and say, I just want to do senior scheduling, and then get that all going. And then you get it going and you say, okay, now I'm ready to do my staff scheduling. But then I've also got another operation that's doing just staff scheduling. And another couple places are doing just equipment management.
It's a holistic platform, but you can just use pieces of it.
Yeah. You can modularize it. I don't know if that's a word.
Let's call that a word. Like
use it as
deduplication.
modules, right?
Yeah. Yes, there you go.
There you go.
Because again, we want it to be a successful experience for people. So doing it all at once, and it's probably nerve-wracking. It would to try to throw everything all at once and say, is this going to work? So it's really designed to have specific paths, and we get people through them with a lot of support and be there.
And that way, as you go from channel or path to path, each one gets easier because some of the foundational items are already there. Once you've got your staff in there, it's much easier. Staff and scheduling, and now you want to add equipment. Well, no problem. Now the people that the equipment's getting assigned to are already there. The job types are already there. Okay, well, now you can think, okay, what do I got to add to a dance studio job for equipment? Let's add that here, but I'm not having to build a dance studio job and then add equipment. It's a logical fashion to do it in those different pathways.
Yeah, we've also built in a lot of import tools for everything. Organizations, staff, calendars, all of it can get pulled in from different platforms just to get that first piece. You don't want to have to hand enter 2,500 events. Or hopefully 2,500 clients. That would be
that's good. We like that. Lots of clients with lots of events.
So where can potential clients get more information about Airstudio? Clearly, if you're going to SPAC, you want to check you out. So maybe talk first about what sessions you may be presenting at and where you're going to be at on the trade show floor.
Sounds great. Yeah, we have a couple of different things. We're in booth 114, so come check us out at the booth. Come say hi. We also have already started. We've got a demo suite. Because of a lot of the stuff we've talked about, it's good to have one-on-one time to understand your workflow and not just give you any kind of just canned presentation. So if you want to book a demo, there's a link on our website to book a demo at SPAC right now, and those are already starting to fill up. And as well, our website in general, it's Airstudio, oneword.info. And check out, there's a lot of information on there, very transparent pricing. You can access our help desk to see how things are going. All of the webinars we've put on are accessible there. And then Scott, our fearless leader, is doing a presentation. We talked a little bit about it earlier. Scott, if you want to add any more onto that.
I wish I knew the date and time. I think it's Thursday afternoon. I'm talking about how to basically do those P&Ls and how to examine your school contracts to determine which are profitable for you, and then how to market and even find the accounts that you would be most profitable. How to target high income demographics, basically.
And that's on January 22nd, 1:45 in Sonoma.
Thank you, Peter.
There you go.
At the lovely South Point.
At the lovely South Point, yes. Where Las Vegas meets bowling meets
rodeo beats
rodeo. There we
go. Meets
that's right.
Casino / late night comedy / Chinese buffet. That's
yes, exactly.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for your time. Appreciate it. Looking forward to seeing you in January at SPAC. Thank you so much.
You as well, Gary. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you for listening to the Dead Pixel Society podcast. Read more great stories and sign up for the newsletter at www.thedeadpixelssociety.com.